Blog Talk Radio.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome everybody to Moorish Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka Black. And tonight, our special guest, Dr. Walter Williams, will be discussing racism, slavery, and the Roman Catholic Church. Make sure you pay close attention to what's going to be discussed here this evening, and because this is going to be very, very enlightening this afternoon. Keep in mind, this Wednesday night at 7 p.m., I'll be coming on with a broadcast, and we'll be dealing with the secured party creditor. What is that? We're going to deal with that Wednesday night so that we can have a clear and concise understanding about being a secured party, okay? That'll be Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Moorish Talk Live 100. Our special guest, Dr. Walter Williams, will be in here with us this evening. And keep in mind, later on, I will be opening up the phone lines. The number to dial in is 310-982-4184, 310-982-4184. Okay? I'm going to take a little quick commercials, and when we get back, we'll be ready to roll. Okay? So y'all hold on a moment.
Still, one of the biggest problems facing people in this country today is debt. The election of a new president doesn't mean your debt will go away. For student loan, child support, mortgage, foreclosure, credit card debt, etc., contact me, Tarhaka Black, 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or visit newdebtelimination.com. You need to get out of debt now. Send for my free report by clicking on the Contact Us page at newdebtelimination.com. Fill it out, and I'll send my free report straight to your email address. Okay? That's www.newdebtelimination.com. Contact me directly, 904-303-9061, about solutions to the problems of debt. The person you want to talk to about beating foreclosure or mortgages or exercising your freedom of right to travel is someone who has already done it and can provide you with proof that they have done it, right? Go to www.newdebtelimination.com. That's www.newdebtelimination.com. Call me, Tarhaka Black. Contact me directly, area code 904-303-9061. 904-303-9061. The person you want to talk to is the person who have done it. If you got problems with credit card debt, student loan, child support, you name it, contact me, Tarhaka Bay, 904-303-9061. Go to www.newdataelimination.com.
This bitter land, watered with my soul, the fruit it bears leaves me so cold. This bitter land does nothing for love. This bitter land rains pain.
Running on the concrete, cross the train tracks. The devil is behind me. In the ghettos where you find me, it's where I stays at. Cop shot us up. He get a medal, then retire. But it never would define me. Write a letter to the president, whoever in control of the society. Tell him stop riding me. Stop driving us into a suicidal ideology. Trying to feed my seeds. Getting high in weed, study my degrees. Stay fly, getting paper. With some dead white people faces in a circle of spaces around the green. I'm on lean, taking perks. It's a bit of earth. It's a nigga cursed. Am I blessed? See what I mean? It's a test. Trying not to fall between the cracks. And the cracks are so dark. And the dark seems more appealing than the light in the land where you gotta fight, catch a body in the night. We need a plan to survive the land, survive the storm when it comes through. Either you're busy living or busy dying. Look what it's come to. Look what it's come to. So what you gonna do? What it's come to. So what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Mr. O'Connor.
What is your real name?
Malcolm X.
Is that your legal name?
As far as I'm concerned, it's my legal name.
Have you been to court to establish that
I didn't have to go to court to be called Murphy or Jones or Smith. Excuse me for answering you this way.
That's
if
all right.
a Chinese person were to say his name was Patrick Murphy, you would look at him like he's insane, because Murphy is an Irish name, a European name, or the name that has a Caucasian or white background. And a yellow person, Chinese is a yellow man, and he has nothing to do or no connection whatsoever with the name Murphy. And if it doesn't look proper for a person who is yellow or Chinese to be walking around named Murphy or Jones or Johnson or Bunch or Powell, I think it would be just as improper for a black person or the so-called Negro in this country, as we're taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to walk around with these names. And therefore he teaches us that during slavery, the same slave master who owned us put his last name on us to denote that we were his property. So that when you see a Negro today who's named Johnson, if you go back in his history, you'll find that he was once his grandfather, or one of his forefathers was owned by a white man who was named Johnson. His name is Bunch. His grandfather was owned by a white man that was named Bunch.
Would you mind telling me what your father's last name was?
My father didn't know his last name. My father got his last name from his grandfather, and his grandfather got it from his grandfather, who got it from the slave master. The real names of our people were destroyed during slavery.
Was there any line, any point in the genealogy of your family when you did have to use the last name, and if so, what was it?
The last name of my forefathers was taken from them when they were brought to America and made slaves. And then the name of the slave master was given, which we refuse. We reject that name today.
You mean you won't even tell me what your father's supposed last name was or gifted last name was?
I never acknowledge it whatsoever.
Let me ask you about the status of Elijah Muhammad. First of all, is he ill?
I spoke to him today. He is in better health than he has been. He's suffering from asthmatic bronchitis.
Is that why he didn't attend your rally on last Tuesday?
The only reason that he didn't attend was his ill condition, and the weather here, especially on that particular day, was of such nature that it would have been almost insane for him to come.
Well, now, did you hold that meeting last Tuesday because it coincided with the general election, the primary election?
I think if you study the history of Mr. Muhammad's work and religious work in this country, we've had our convention on February the 26th every year for, I think, the past 33 years.
Well, now, while you don't care to discuss your former name or the name that the slave master gave to your antecedents, it is a matter of record that Muhammad's last name was Poole, Elijah Poole.
No, that's the name that his slave master gave to his grandfather or great-grandfather, but that's not his name.
Well, his mother and father thought when they called him Elijah Poole that was his name.
They didn't know any better.
Well, if they didn't know any better or not, they thought that was his name.
Yes, sir, but, sir...
But what I'm trying to find out is when did he cease to be Elijah Poole and get to be Elijah Muhammad?
In 1931, I think it was, in Detroit, he was taught the true history of our people and made aware at that time that he was wearing an English name, and by not being an Englishman, he looked out of place. And his teacher gave him the name that he's wearing today, Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad.
All right, now when did he become what he purports to be in your literature, the son of Allah?
I've never heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad referred to as the son of Allah.
The prophet of Allah. Okay.
I've never heard him referred to as the prophet of Allah.
What do you refer to him
Messenger of Allah.
All right, the messenger of Allah, and I appreciate the correction.
Yes, he says that a prophet is somebody who predicts the future, and he's not predicting the future, whereas a messenger is someone who carries a message that has been given to him by one who authors that message.
Well, now, who gave him the message, and to whom is it supposed to be delivered?
Master W.F. Muhammad, the one who taught him, is the author of the message. He gave it to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which makes him the messenger. And he's to deliver that message of truth and righteousness to the 20 million American so-called Negroes, which means he's to teach us the truth, which will awaken us, and then show us how to live a life of righteousness, which will automatically qualify us for recognition as human beings by all other righteous human beings here on this earth.
Well, now, one other question. With reference to what Mr. Hurlbut asked you a little bit ago, you took a very moderate position of wanting independence without having any hatred for the whites. Do I understand that correctly?
Hatred is not involved in it whatsoever.
Well, I recall in a recent plane crash, 2 or 3 years ago, or less than that, a charter flight on Air France in which a group of people from Atlanta, Georgia, were, as they say in the business, as they took off from Orly Field. And you were quoted at that time as expressing great gratification that this tragedy had occurred. Do you recall that?
I recall it.
What did you say? Do you remember?
The press misinterpreted it and misrepresented it.
What did you say?
They said that it was made at a Muslim meeting. It wasn't. It was made at a rally of Negroes, Baptist, Methodist, Catholic, and otherwise in Los Angeles, who were rallying to protest the brutal shooting of 7 unarmed Negroes
and what did you
by
say?
heavily armed white policemen in the city of Los Angeles. And because we are a people who have been taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to never carry weapons of any kind, but to get on God's side and rely on God to fight our battles for us, at the time that these brothers were shot down so brutally, I pointed out at the funeral of the brother who died that God would step in and take a hand in giving us some form of justice for the brutal killing of our brother. And when the plane crashed in France, I pointed out to the crowd at this rally that this was an act of God showing his wrath or complete resentment over the brutal form of injustice that had been inflicted upon our poor unarmed brothers.
Were you saying that, or do you believe that?
At that time, Dr. Billy Graham was in a crusade in Chicago, and the press, your papers here in this city, quoted Billy Graham of also saying that plane crash was an act of God. And if you take time to check the newspapers, I think that you'll find that this is correct. But no one thought that Billy Graham was so wrong when he attributed the crash of this plane to his God. But when we say that it come from our God, then we're looked upon as being, outrageous.
I know, but you took the position that this was a matter of satisfaction to you for an injustice done against you, and I think that that's a trifle severe.
We did not think that it was a coincidence that 120 of the whites on this plane came from the state of Georgia, a state that has the worst record in the history of America for the mistreatment of black people in this country.
Worse than Mississippi?
They maybe are a little less, Mississippi is a little less hypocritical today than Georgia, but both of them are still practicing the same thing. Now the whites in Georgia bite Negroes with a smile, whereas they used to bite them with a growl. But they're still being bitten, and we don't think that it is any worse to be bitten with a smile than it is to be bitten with a growl.
Mr. Calvert.
While we're on the subject of Mississippi, what is your organization's position of what happened in Mississippi in the past 6 months?
Such as what?
Such as the James Meredith incident and the enrollment of him in the university.
Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wants justice for every one of the 20 million so-called Negroes, and to just take one Negro and stick him in college with the aid of 15,000 troops, and at a cost of $6,000, is a disgrace. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. It's a farce. It's hypocrisy. Because if it's right for one Negro to be forced into that university, then every Negro in the state of Mississippi who is qualified has the same right to go to that university. And if the government is not ready and willing to enforce the right of every Negro in the state of Mississippi, then, in my opinion, sir, it's only hypocrisy to pretend that they are for justice by pushing one Negro in and blowing it up all over the world to make it look like they're solving the problem when millions of black people in that state are still going to segregated schools and getting an inferior education.
Does your organization encourage members to attempt to enter schools that have been known as all white in the past?
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad doesn't discourage us from attending white schools, but he does say that it is better for us to go to our own schools, and after we have a thorough knowledge of ourselves, of our own kind, and racial dignity has been instilled within us, then we can go to anyone's school and we'll still retain our race pride, our racial dignity, and we will be able to avoid the subservient inferiority complex that most Negroes have or that is instilled within most Negroes who receive this sort of integrated education.
Okay, we back. It appears that my guest has arrived. Dr. Walter Williams will be with us, and we will be discussing slavery, racism, and the Roman Catholic Church. What part did they play in this thing? What's the deal on that? I'm going to open up the phone line to area code 773.
Yes,
Dr. Walter
Brother
Williams, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Brother Tarhaka, I'm here.
All right. I welcome you back to our broadcast this Sunday night, December the 18th, and I'm certainly glad you can be with us. And I'm going to yield the floor to you on whatever it is that you have to say involving this subject that we'll be discussing here tonight about slavery and racism in the Roman Catholic Church. And we have others that's here that want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Well, we're going to start off with the discipline of history. The discipline of history will give you the understanding of the beginning of racism in the United States of America, and also be to give you the information historically, the beginning of racism as it began by the initiation of racism upon a African people by Europeans. We'll give you that beginning. But you have to go in other areas of history, and I will take you into certain areas of history, and then we will connect the dots, whereby once connecting these dots, we can have a good understanding of how racism came about on planet Earth, initiated by the white race. Okay? Now, let's go, and I'll start you with going back to Spain and the Moors. You have to start there. In 1051, white European Spain asked an African people known in history as the Moors, who lived in Morocco and Mauritania in North Africa. Those countries border the Mediterranean. So we have to start there. Now, I want you to really take note as to what I just said. I said that white European Spain asked some Africans who lived in North Africa, in the city or the countries that are known as Morocco and Mauritania, asked them to come into white European Spain and bring civilization to them. Okay? And this was done in 1051, the middle of the 11th century. And these Africans, who are nicknamed Moors because of where they came from, Morocco and Mauritania, into Spain, and they set up what is known as literacy there. The school system for the white European Spanish-speaking people. And they also set up a government in Spain. They also began to build in Spain because these Moors were descendants of the ancient Egyptians, and the ancient Egyptians had the first seed of civilization that was used and still being used by all races of people throughout the whole entire world. And in that civilization come from ancient Egypt, they created a discipline called mathematics, and they created a discipline called the alphabet. The alphabet makes an individual literate, because the alphabet, once learning an alphabet, you'll be able to read, write, and spell. So therefore, once learning the rudiments of mathematics, you begin to learn how to build things. So they took the culture from their ancestors and they brought it into white European Spain, and they began to build build cities in Spain, such as Grenada, Seville, Granada, Toledo, etc. And they began to build all over Spain these cities. Also, they began to build public bathhouses, thus introducing to Europeans for the very first time soap to bathe and cleanse their body. So it was the Moors who introduced soap into Europe during the time of their occupation in Spain. So now we're going to go away from that area of history for this moment, and I'm going to take you back from the beginning of the world's first Christian church ever built on planet Earth, and that church is the Hagia Sophia, built in Constantinople, Turkey, which is northeast Africa, and built in that double-walled city that today is called Istanbul, Turkey. It was called Constantinople, Turkey at that time. So the beginning of that world's first Christian church began to be built and commissioned to be built by Justinian and his wife Theodora in 532. They commissioned African scholars and African builders to build and design that church to be built. So in 532, they began to build the Hagia Sophia, the world's first Christian church. And 5 years later, that church was finished in 537. So that was the world's first Christian church built for the created creature, the Virgin Mary, and the created creature Christ. So the church was built for Mary and Christ. So if you read my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, I'll tell you how this Christ came about. I'll tell you how this Virgin Mary came about, et cetera, et cetera. But right now, we're in this area of history, and I'm telling you about the world's first Christian church ever built on planet Earth. Now, that church stayed in northeast Africa, in the double-walled city of Constantinople, for 902 years. 902 years later, John VIII went into a curia in Florence, Italy, in 1439. This was 42 years after the beginning of the Renaissance era for Europe. The Renaissance era of Europe started in 1397, kicked off and initiated by an African scholar by the name of Manuel Chrysolus, who came from Constantinople, the double-walled city. He was born in Constantinople, and he taught at the Church of Hagia Sophia. Not only was it the world's first Christian church, it was the first institution, learning institution for the European males. Okay, they didn't allow women to do anything, even when the Renaissance era beginning with Emmanuel Chrysolus coming into Florence, Italy. At that curia, the word C-U-R-I-A means college, and turned the light switch on for the Europeans, because the masses of Europeans throughout Europe could not read or write. They were in the Dark Ages. So he went over and hit that light switch and turned on the light for them to begin their journey on and began their Renaissance era. So that happened by Manuel Chrysolus in 1397. What he did in 1397 over at the Curia in Florence, Italy, the college in Florence, Italy, he introduced the rudiments of the Greek alphabet. John VIII came over there in 1439, 42 years after Emmanuel Chrysolus was over there, to turn that light switch on for the Europeans to come out of the darkness into the age of light and into the age of learning. 1439, John VIII, who was one of the Byzantine emperors, or one of the last of the Byzantine emperors that had control of only Constantinople, because outside of the double-walled city of Constantinople, the Turks, the Ottoman Turks, had control and had usurped all of the land areas where the Byzantine emperors had ruled prior to them coming into northeast Africa and eventually spreading into Central Africa, in Egypt, in Libya, in Tunisia, and in Algeria, and in Morocco, and Mauritania. So they were the usurpers of the Byzantine Empire. And the usurpers, these Ottoman Turks, had made the Byzantine emperors to be held up in their last stronghold, which was the double-walled city of Constantinople. And in 1439, like I mentioned, John VIII went to this Curia in Florence, Italy, during the time of the Renaissance era, and he relinquished what is known in history as a donation of Constantine. My book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, talks about the donation of Constantine. That was one of the donation of Constantine was one of the historical history that caused the Council of Nicaea I to come about in 325, along with the Donatist Schismatic controversy, along with the strong statement by Arius. And those three things, the Donatist Schismatic controversy, the donation of Constantine, and the strong statement by Arius, brought about the coming and reality of the first ecumenical council that's known in history, called the Council of Nicaea I, 325. Now, go back into how John VIII went into Italy to relinquish the donation of Constantine in order for the transfer of the seat of Christianity to be moved out of Northeast Africa into Europe. So that was 1439. 6 years later, Eugenius IV and Nicholas V began to build what is known as the Vatican that's over there today on the outskirts of Rome in 1445. They began to build what is known as St. Peter's Church, known today as St. Peter's Basilica. They were on the outskirts of Rome because they wanted to keep the separation of the church from the state. Okay, the government of Italy was in Rome, so they wanted to keep it separated. So they went on the outskirts of Rome, in the suburbs of Rome, and they began to dig over what is known as the catacombs. The catacombs were in the ground, where it was a cemetery in the ground where the Romans where the Romans buried their dead. So they dug up these dead bodies and graves and so forth down there in order to make way for the building of the Vatican that you see over there today. The Vatican that you see there today is nothing but a replica of the double-walled city of Constantinople. So today, the Vatican is a double wall, or is a walled city over there. They have their own armies, they have their own government, you see, and that was as a result of them not wanting to keep the separation of the church and the state from merging together. So therefore, they went on the outskirts of Rome to create this situation in the Vatican. Okay? So now, in the meantime, getting back to the Moors had been over there for 427 years. They had been over there prior to the Roman Catholic Church moving into Rome, okay, on the outskirts of Rome, okay. Now, once the Roman Catholic Church was established in 1445, 33 years later, the Roman Catholic Church and the country of Spain, white European Spain, allied themselves together. And in 1478, the Spanish government and the Roman Catholic Church created what is known in history as the Spanish Inquisition and the Roman Inquisition. Let me break that down. They hired a man to be the Inquisitor General by the name of Thomas D. Guatemala. He was the Inquisitor General for Spain, which that Inquisition began in 1478. And also Thomas D. Guatemala, not only was he the Inquisitor General of Spain, he was also the Inquisitor General of the Roman Catholic Church. See, because when you read this little section in history about the Spanish Inquisition. They said that the Spanish Inquisition not only started in Spain by Ferdinand and Isabella, appointing Thomas de Guatemala to be the Inquisitor General, the Roman Catholic Church also had Thomas de Guatemala as Inquisitor General for the Roman Catholic Church. And that's because the Roman Catholic Church and the country of Spain allied with each other. You see?
Okay.
Now, let's go and so for 427 years, the Moors had been over there. Now, the Spanish government, along with their ally, the Roman Catholic Church, wanted to dispel the Moors out of Spain for two reasons: racial and religious. The racial reason is because they were Africans. They want to rid Spain of these African Moors who had set up civilization, who had set up the government of Spain, who had began to build in cities in Spain, who introduced public bathhouses in Spain and introduced soap for the cleansing and the cleaning of the bodies of these Europeans. So, in other words, they had used the Moors to the point where they didn't need them anymore. So it's time for them to be expelled. Okay? That was the first act, historically, that I can see of racism brought forth by Europeans, those European Spanish-speaking people over in Spain. After using those African Moors to bring civilization, to bring a school system, to bring a government, and to build cities throughout Spain, to bring civilization to them, after 427 years, they didn't need them anymore. So they want to kick them out. So the Moors went into different places. They went back into Egypt. They went back into all those countries along North Africa. They went into Tunisia, Libya, Algeria, Morocco, Mauritania. They went into Mali, and so forth and so on. And then they were, a group of them were brought over into this hemisphere, which is the Americas, okay? South America, Central America, and North America, okay? So while over here, they set up the world's they set up the world's third civilization on planet Earth. The world's first civilization was created there in Africa, in the country that's called Egypt, by one group of Africans known in history as the ancient Egyptians. From their culture came forth civilization for all of humanity, which humanity today, as I speak, is using that civilization. We all are using that. That comes from our ancient Egyptian ancestors. And the second civilization that was set up by our African ancient Egyptian ancestors were in white European Spain. Like I mentioned, white European Spain asking these Africans to come into their country to bring and civilization to them, to make them have some type of civilization, which they did. That was the second spot. The third spot is over in this hemisphere, the Americas. Okay, once they came over here in 1492 and with Christopher Columbus. Now, there's some argument out there. There's never been a Christopher Columbus, but we're not going to argue that right now. Okay, I can argue, but it's not necessary in this format that we have this evening. But anyway, they came over here. Let's assume they came over here with Christopher Columbus, landed over here in 1492. Now, for 127 years, our ancestors, the Moors / ancient Egyptians, which is one and the same, they both are one and the same, set up the third civilization in this hemisphere, okay, which is called the Americas or North America, okay. Over here, you had a vast amount of land. You only had two races of people living over in this hemisphere, the Native American Indian and the Africans who had been over here prior to Christopher Columbus coming over here with the Moors in 1492. While over here, the Moors, like I mentioned, set up a civilization, the third civilization. So for 127 years before the Spanish, Portuguese, and the Roman Catholic Church slave trade. Now, I want you to go back over that again. I want you to miss this. I said for 127 years, the Moors had set up a form of civilization over in this hemisphere, which will be known in history as the third civilization set up by these Africans and African people on planet Earth. Okay? Before the Portuguese and the Spanish and the Roman Catholic Church slave trade began. Because now you got to remember, the Roman Catholic Church had allied with the country of Spain. And inside the territory of the country of Spain, you have Portugal as a part of that also. So Spanish and the Portuguese are one and the same. See? Allied with the Roman Catholic Church. Those three entities, the Spaniards, the Portuguese, and the Roman Catholic Church, began to set up slavery in this hemisphere in 1619. The Portuguese, the Spanish, and the Roman Catholic Church went into Africa and brought human beings out of Africa and brought them over in this hemisphere, and for the sole purpose of putting them into slavery. So I don't want the people to miss the Roman Catholic Church had a big hand and a big play into bringing slaves out of Africa over in this hemisphere. Okay? Now, because in what we know, the territory of Louisiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Virginia, let me so name those four, and there are others. The Roman Catholic Church had slave plantations in these various spots I just called. To further your understanding, in 1832, the Roman Catholic Church sold 272 African slaves on the slave market, and to finance from the sale of these 272 African slaves, to finance George Washington University in Washington, D.C. That was done in 1832. That was on the news about a month and a half ago. Okay? So this is what is being revealed about the Roman Catholic Church. I don't want the listening audience to think that the Roman Catholic Church is so pious. No. They are part of the slave trade that was introduced in this country by the Spanish, the Portuguese, and the Roman Catholic Church. See, they all play their hand in it. Okay? Now, also, while over in this country, the Roman Catholic Church had created Roman Catholic churches. Now, during the time of the occupation over North America, they had two priests. One individual, his name was Father Knuckles, and the other one was Father Cousins. These were African priests of the Roman Catholic Church. They were not allowed to come into any Roman Catholic church and sit in the pews among the so-called white brethren. They were not allowed to do that. The Roman Catholic Church denied them of that privilege. You want to call it a privilege. So that is a form of racism put upon our people by the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church, as I speak, know that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form, of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ, they know historically that there's never been a Jesus, but they will never tell you that because this is their foundation of their church, their spiritually dead church. Okay? So do not the Roman Catholic Church off the hook about slavery. They played a big part into enslaving our people in this hemisphere of North America. See? So this went on and for many, many years. Okay? And until, let's say, in 1619, the slave trade began, like I mentioned. But the following year after that, you had the Europeans coming out of England on the Mayflower, okay, in 1620, a year after slavery was established in this country in 1619. So here you have these influx of Europeans coming out of England over in this hemisphere, and they began to set up occupancy over in this country, over in this hemisphere in 1620. Okay? In 1775 to 17 you had what is known as the American Revolution began. The fight for this country between the British and George Washington. See, George Washington and that group and his ancestors came over on the Mayflower, and then later on, the British was fighting them to take this territory that we know of North America away from them, or the Americas. So in 1775 to 1783, they had the American Revolution, and they fought. And as you know, George Washington won the battle, and et cetera, et cetera. And in 1787, you see, which was 4 years after the American Revolution, they began to meet in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to create what is known as the Constitution, the United States Constitution. Okay? And they still set up a segregated and created a segregated document known in history as the United States Constitution, which is a worthless document for us as the African people in this country. So in that document, you have a racism in there because they considered us in that document as only chattels, non-humans. And they consider us in that document that's created at the convention in 1787 for us to be 3/5 of a human being because of the argument between the North and the South over delegation representation. Okay, the South had less delegates because of the sparseness of the occupancy in the South. You had more concentrated occupancy in the North, and therefore you had more people. The more people, the more delegates you can get to represent your territory, North from the South. See, so they decided to make the Negro 3/5, count him as 3/5, to get more delegates by way of count, and the census taking for the South. And this is how this 3/4 came about in history, that we are known on that document, that worthless document that is called the United States Constitution. That is how we, as an African people, became non-humans and only chattel to our slave master. See, so that document meant nothing to us. It still doesn't mean anything to us. Now, so that was a form of racism set down and documented on literature and in a document, okay, created by the so-called founding thieves. I don't call them the founding fathers of this country. They're the founding thieves because they took a gun to the native Indian and stuck him up. They stick him up, and they took this land away from him. So they are thieves who created this document called the United States Constitution. That is a white supremacy document that was created in 1787 in Philadelphia at that Constitutional Convention. Okay? Now, we're going to move into the creation of the white supremacy court known as the United States Supreme Court. In 1857, a Roger Brooks Taney, who was the head of the United States Supreme Court, okay, he said, judging and bringing down a decision in the Dred Scott case, he said that Negroes were not citizens of the United States of America, so therefore could not bring suit in federal court in the state of Missouri. And that was against Dred Scott, who wanted to be a free man. Okay? But he said that Negroes were not citizens of this country, therefore could not bring suit in federal court against the state of Missouri. And that's where Dred Scott lived at the time, him and his wife and his children. Okay? Also, to further that, Roger Brooks Taney said that Negroes had no rights that a white man had to respect. Okay? That's racism. Also said that Negroes are so far inferior that they should never, ever be allowed to associate with the white race. That's racism. You see? So now, here you have this racism being created by way of this worthless document known as the United States Constitution, and initiated and created by these white supremacists, white racist, white folk who were in charge of this government of what we know as the United States of America. You see? And they practice this racism right to this very day as I speak. They're the ones that created Jim Crow laws against one race of people. Okay? They initiated for us not to vote in elections, political elections in this country because of racism. Okay? And they still is denying us to vote in this country because they Anton Scalia and this Clarence, Uncle Tom ass, Negro, that's sitting on the bench on the white supremacy court known as the Supreme Court. He and Anton Scalia took out that fifth article of the Voting Rights Bill that was passed for one race of people in 1965. Took that out to give it back to the states to decide on whether we have or can vote or make it a law for us to vote in this country. So therefore, the states, with their strength now, by the fifth article, the fifth article of the Voting Rights Bill taken out by Clarence, Uncle Tom Ass, and Anton Scalia, gave them the right to do whatever they want to do about that voting of our people in their country. In the states where they reside politically. So they can use that by removing the fifth article of the Voting Rights Bill was passed in 1965. They can use that to suppress votes, suppress us from voting in this country. You see? So all this, and then in 1964, they passed a civil rights bill for one race of people. See, the further that you know that we were not allowed to be citizens of this country. So we have to understand what racism is all about, where it's coming from. Very, very important. You see, so then they set up Jim Crow laws in the 1920s against us, one race of people, Africans living in this country. Okay, and those Jim Crow laws allowed the European to lynch us. From 1880 to 1940, you had over 4,000 lynching of Africans in this country. That was done legally. Why? Because going back to 1857, when Roger Brooks Taney said that Africans living in this country had no rights that a white man had to respect. So he can come out and lynch you. Look what they did to Emmett Till. The FBI knew who lynched and killed and murdered Emmett Till. They went in and interviewed them. They couldn't do anything about that because why? The Negro had no rights that a white man had to respect. So they went scot-free. They just gave them some information to the FBI, and the FBI said, okay, be cool, don't do that no more. I'll see you later. You see? Because they knew that we had no rights in this country because of racism. You see? So those are some of the things that we should know by way of what has happened to us as a people historically. We should know that. You see? So that's some of the things I want to say, Brother Tarhaka, about racism, about slavery, and the Roman Catholic Church. Do not let the Roman Catholic Church off the hook on slavery. What else did the Roman Catholics do? They used the country of Spain to be their army. They went all over Central America and began to take from those people, those native people that they found throughout Central America, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Cuba, Honduras, and all those Central American countries. The Spanish government went in there along with their agent and their allied friend, the Roman Catholic Church. And they began, anywhere you see where people are speaking Spanish, you're going to find the Roman Catholic Church there. You're going to find it there. See, anywhere you see Spanish being spoken by the native indigenous people of that country, you'll find the Roman Catholic Church right in the middle of it. Now, let's go into Cuba. During the time of Fidel Castro. Castro died, I think, last month. Okay? Now, Castro told Jesse Jackson that while he was fighting in the hills of Cuba, Cuba was under the rule of the Batista government and the capitalists from the United States of America. The capitalists of the United States of America had bought the sugar plantations in Cuba, and they had bought into the electric system of Cuba. So they had a stronghold in Cuba. This capitalist and the Batista government. The capitalists of this country took the Batista family and put them in a mansion, a castle, so to speak, and let them be out of the way, but only in name as being the rulers of Cuba. That was only in name, because the capitalists had control of Cuba, the sugar industry, electric industry, and they had all the hotels over there and the gambling casinos over there. Those hotels and gambling casinos did not allow the the African black Cubans over there to come in, participate or come into those casinos and hotels to occupy them as customers and allow that. They practice racism anywhere the European go. No place on earth or any place on earth he's going to practice racism. He's going to bring that into fold. Okay? And he did it over in Cuba. Fidel Castro, Jesse Jackson said, told him when he and his men was fighting in the hills of Cuba, they came down from those mountains and they saw a Roman Catholic church, and they knew that by seeing the Roman Catholic Church, that this Roman Catholic Church will give them safe haven over there to be protected against the capitalist armies and the Batista government. He said that when he told Jesse Jackson, when his men approached the Roman Catholic Church, the priests of the Roman Catholic Church came out with rifles shooting at them. So he knew right then that the Roman Catholic Church was not his friend. The Roman Catholic Church is nobody's friend. Africans, wake up wherever you are. If you're a Roman Catholic parishioner, I'm telling you some history. The Roman Catholic Church does not mean you any good because they have never meant the whole world any good. And again, I will repeat, the Roman Catholic Church know historically that there's never been a man that ever walked this earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. They know that. So, Tarhaka, this is some of the things I wanted to bring out to our listening audience about slavery, about racism, and the Roman Catholic Church. Back to you, Tarhaka.
All right. Well, we're a little over an hour in. And I would like to open up the phone lines. If we have question, comment for our guest, the number to dial into the broadcast is 310-982-4184. Just press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication that you have something to say, and I will open up the phone line. But in the meantime, Dr. Williams, you said a lot, and so we're gonna give you a little break, and when we come back, we can continue our discussion. Okay?
Okay.
All right, y'all hold on.
Welcome to the Advice Show, Media with the Common Sense Approach. So there's a man that I saw on Facebook, and he stated that he was a former racist, and he had made a video stating why some, not all, white people have a great fear of black people. We're going to roll the clip.
Well, it's me. I'm back again, here to talk about fear, pride, arrogance, narcissism, all that good stuff. So what is it that stops so many white people from wanting to change their hearts in regards to race and wanting to see the reality and come out of denial? What is it that keeps us stuck right there in that comfortable position of untruth? Well, I think part of it is fear. Another part of it is greed. Greed in that we don't want to lose dominance, we don't want to lose power, we don't want to lose privileges, we don't want to lose benefits that the system of white supremacy has created here in America for white people. We don't want to lose none of it. We're scared. We're scared of black retribution, we're scared of black vengeance. We're scared shitless, and we always have been. Since day one, we put our hands on black people. Grabbed them, snatched them up, put them on a boat, and made them our own fucking personal slaves and assistants for no pay. We did all that. You goddamn right, we're scared. We're scared of losing what we got. We're scared of losing our positions. And we're scared of retribution. So we got a lot of fucking fear, man. Yeah, we do. You hear me, white brothers and sisters? A lot of fucking fear. We're scared. We always have been. You see a black man walking down the street, you lock your doors, you check, making sure he ain't gonna hurt you, you clutch your purse. We're scared. So what we do? Lock them up, throw them in jail. World's largest prison population of black folks right now. It's right here in this fucking country. Wonder why? We're fucking scared. Even the fucking police officers, the coward police officers that kill unarmed black people are scared. We're scared of that retribution, scared of that black vengeance. And then we project, then we pretend and project that black people are as racist as white people. Who the fuck ever taught a black person black supremacy? The first thing a fucking black person learns is why it's wrong to be a supremacist. They deal with that shit their whole fucking life. Why the fuck would they want them to act supreme? I ain't never heard a black person go around acting superior because of the color of their skin. If anything, they do the opposite. It's white people that are taught. I ain't saying black people can't hate. I ain't saying black people can't be angry. But hell, if they do hate, it's a hate that hate produced. It's a anger that anger produced from white supremacy, a culture and a system of white supremacy. So yeah, black people are angry. Some of them, not all of them, some of them. The point is, face your fear, face your greed, so that we can fucking have a more peaceful country, a more peaceful world. Until white people face that greed that they have. Oh, I gotta be on top. I gotta keep my white privilege. Oh God, I'm scared that the black people gonna kill me. They gonna come get me. They gonna snatch me up the way we did them. They gonna do all that dirty shit to me that white people have done to them. Stop being so fucking scared, man. Man up, woman up. Let's face reality. White supremacy is real. Our country is a country of white fucking supremacy. Yes, sir, it is. It always has been. Let's face it. Let's do something about it. Let's take some fucking responsibility. Act up, speak up, vote. Do what you gotta do. Be active. Protest. Get in the fucking streets. White people have to change their fucking culture of white supremacy. If we don't, it will destroy us all, and it already is. All of us. Has to do with morality. This thing about getting out of denial. One, you got to acknowledge the truth. We are a white supremacist nation, and we always have been. We have white supremacist institutions, culture, structures, power, psychology, everything, politics. Whitewashing is in everything. The media, education, history is whitewashed and biased. Education is whitewashed and biased. Entertainment is whitewashed and biased. I ain't saying black people are bad. We're all equal. We know this. Stop being defensive. Stop being judgmental. Stop being defensive. Stop being delusional. Get out of denial and face reality. Our culture is racist. Our white culture is racist. I ain't saying all white people are racist. I'm not saying that. But it's all that indifference. It's all that inaction. It's all that turn a blind fucking eye. That's the real fucking problem. Step up. Get out of indifference. Do something. Say something. Let's take our white America back. I love America and I love white America. Let's take it fucking back. Let's be proud of ourselves. I'm not proud of white America anymore. I used to be a fucking racist. Not proud of America anymore. Face your fear and face your greed. Once and for all. Take your fucking country back to what it should be, which means it's made for all people. Not just white people. Bye.
Now, this man here, he's telling you that he used to be a person that was a racist. He used to have hatred in his heart. Now he don't anymore. And he's seeing what's going on in this country and what's holding us back. he addressed the fear, the great fear of black people, especially the black man. You know, that fear is taught in the household. That fear is something that even as black people, we don't understand. We know about the fear. Trust me, we know it 100%. And when he talks about the police officers fearful and just shooting, is just the same thing like a scared dog will bite you faster. That's usually what that is. Why is it that we're so feared? It don't matter if you are a criminal or you're not a criminal. You're still feared. Why? Because it's taught. And what are you afraid of? This man stating you're afraid of black people doing the exact same things that was done to us, which most black people don't even think like that. So I don't know where that comes from, but this is the thing. I guess it would be like me doing something to somebody else, and then they haven't done me nothing. I would kind of be concerned about that just a little bit, like, oh man, I know I've done these people wrong, or I know that karma gonna come back on me one day. Okay, and when the man said about the system that's set up, it is a system set up. We talked about that last night on the radio show. That system isn't the same playing field for everybody. You know, like some people say, well, you know, like on the job market, for instance, you got to be more educated, more qualified, speak better English, all this stuff that you got to have be 10 times better than a person who is a white person who don't even have none of that. And we've seen this many times. I've seen it many times in jobs. It's just a different playing field. Or you can't get away with the same thing of talking to the police a certain way versus maybe a white person. And I've seen some white people cuss cops out. But if you do it as a black person, you can get your head beat in or get yourself shot. I mean, it's just all kind of differences in society is what this man is talking about. And getting mad about it, what this man is saying, is not refuting a word to what he said, because we all know, black and white, what he said is true. Now, I had a young man write me an email, and maybe he watched this video. I got your email, and you were stating, what could you do to, you know, stop racism? Just be fair, that's all. And if someone is being racist, call them out on it. Say, hey, man, that's not cool. I don't agree with that sort of thing. You can keep that ignorance somewhere else. That's the best way to do it. And if everybody do that just within their own community and their own way, then you can put a stop to a lot of this stuff. And don't teach your kids that crap, because people are people at the end of the day. But this man had just revealed what America is about and what it has always have been in the area of the system on how to control things. Now, you have these silly racists who will say, well, if you don't like the way America is, why don't y'all go back to Africa? You ain't going nowhere. My ancestors literally worked and built this country from blood, sweat, and tears. My ancestors have fought in every major war this country has ever had. Every last one of them. People in my family has fought in wars for this country. So why in the hell would black people just say, you know what, okay, we're going to get on a plane and go back to a country we didn't even build? We didn't build that one. We built this one. This is what our ancestors went through. So that option is out the way. See, the thing is, you get upset when we talk about these things because you want to keep this system that this man was talking about in place. Well, one benefit and the other doesn't benefit too much. Think about it. You had to put laws in place for black people to get a job. You had to put laws in place for black people to buy a certain property and go certain places. I mean, why laws had to be put in place when you should naturally just treat your fellow man or woman, no matter what race they are, the same? You know, until you get past the racism stuff, this country will never get to a certain point. And some people like say, well, you always have racism. Yeah, you can always have it, but it don't mean it has to be the dominant thing in your society just because you will always have it. Yes, I know people will be evil until the end of time. I get that. But it doesn't mean that we have to partake in it and, you know, deal with the issue over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, personally, I'm tired of racism. I'm pretty sure you're tired of racism. But it keeps coming up. And we have to deal with it once and for all to bring a healing. And name calling doesn't bring healing. Talking crazy to people, trying to think people undermine their intelligence and all this other stuff doesn't bring healing. All you're doing is causing a problem. And, you know, I'm getting very low tolerance to people doing that. If you can't, you really have a positive discussion, even if you don't agree, just a civil discussion, and not with all that, slide talking and all this other stuff. I don't care if you're black or white. I'm going to start blocking people for it because I'm sick of some of you comments in the comment section of these videos with stuff like this. People can have a dialogue without name calling and saying all this stuff to each other. Act like adults. But, this man, like I said, he let out a lot of, gems. I'm pretty sure he's going to suffer a lot of persecution online because he gets sent up here exposing stuff that's been going on. Make sure you download the Advise Show Media app on iTunes and the Amazon Play Store for Android.
I've been around and I've seen some things. People moving faster than the speed of sound, faster than the speeding bullet. People living like Superman all day and all night. And I won't say if it's wrong or I won't say if it's right. I'm pretty fast myself. But I do have some advice to pass along right here in the words of this song. You better not look down if you want to keep on flying. Put the hammer down, keep full speed ahead. You better not look back, or you might just wind up dying. You can keep it moving, you don't look down. An old dog friend of mine showed up the other day. That girl had lived in love and for love and over love and under love all her life. If the arrows from Cupid's bow that had passed through her heart had been sticking out of her body, she would look like a porcupine. And she asked me, BB, do you think I've lived my life all wrong? And I said, the only advice I have to pass along is concealed in the course of this song. Better not look down if you want to keep on flying. Put the hammer down, keep it full speed ahead. Better not look back, or you might just wind up crying. You can keep it moving, you don't look down. I was walking down the street at sunrise one morning in London, England, and there was a very large Rolls-Royce limousine pulling slowly along the street. And in that Rolls-Royce was the Queen of England, looking tired, just got back from a party. And the Queen leaned out and she said, aren't you B.B. King? She said, oh, B.B., sometimes it's so hard to pull things together. Could you tell me what you think I ought to do? And I said, you better not look down if you want to keep on flying. Put the hammer down, keep it full speed ahead. Better not look back, or you might just wind up crying. You can keep it moving, don't look down. You better not look down if you want to keep on flying. Put the hammer down, keep it full speed ahead. Better not look back, or you might just wind up crying. You can keep it moving, don't look down. You better not look down.
All right, we back, Mo. Dr. Williams, are you still with us?
I'm still here, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. All right. I wanted to ask you, the Roman, there are Roman Catholic churches all over the United States, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all over the United States now, yeah. They came in with the Spanish being over here. Like I said before, the Roman Catholic Church allied with the Spanish and the Portuguese to join together as allies to go in and establish territory. In other words, to go into certain areas, such as Central America, to colonize among the native indigenous people living there that they found there. And in so doing, they changed their language to Spanish. So anywhere that you see people speaking Spanish, you're going to see the Roman Catholic Church there. Okay? But the Roman Catholic Church did not, let's say, set up per se in this country right away, because there was the only people living in this North America hemisphere were native, indigenous Indians, along with the Africans that were over here with them. Therefore, you had all this territory that was sparsely occupied. So therefore, they had to wait until, let's say, the year after slavery, like I mentioned, in 1620. Slavery started in 1619 in this country. A year later, in 1620, the Mayflower came over and brought a lot of undesirable Europeans that were thrown out of England and throughout Great Britain to come over here and live in this hemisphere, North America.
Okay.
Thus, causing them to occupy parts of what we know as North America. You see, so therefore, at that time, when they came over here, Henry VIII had broke away from the Roman Catholic Church. Henry VIII broke away from the Roman Catholic Church in 1534, because the Roman Catholic Church did not sanction and allow him to divorce his wife, Catherine, to marry his lover, Anne Boleyn. That was against the laws of the Roman Catholic Church. So he broke away from the Roman Catholic Church, and the church that he pulled away from the Roman Catholic Church is now known as the Church of England. So that church became a Protestant church, a non-Roman Catholic church, beginning with Henry VIII in 1534, with the story I just told you. You see? So that is another part of history that is needed to be known, that will plug in to the minds of the listeners a history that you need to know about. Okay? So the Roman Catholic Church really couldn't get a stronghold like they did over in those other countries throughout Latin America, where you see the people and the populace of the people speaking Spanish. Okay? So when the English came over here, they couldn't. They were speaking English, and they came over here with the practice of Protestantism. Okay, so in 1750 is another part of some history. In 1750, in this country, there was a law passed that wherever in this country that they had a gathering, people living in a village or a town, that in that village or town where you had a large, decent-sized number of people, that a church had to be erected right there in the middle of them. And it was mandatory by way of force that all the people living in those cities or villages or counties or etc. had to attend this church by law. If they did not attend the church by law, bringing their wives and their children and themselves to church, they could be fined or jailed. That was a law that was began to be initiated in 1750 in the United States of America. See, so the Roman Catholic Church, over the time of history, began to establish a church federation of Roman Catholic Church, and they put them into different parts of the country, all over the country. But and during the time of slavery, like I mentioned, the Roman Catholic Church had slave plantations right here in America. In Maryland, Virginia, Louisiana, Kentucky, and different places, states in the South. They had established slave plantations right there in the United States of America. So that is another little tidbit on history that our listening audience should know, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open. 310-982-4184. Press 1 on your phone, and that'll give me something. Give me an indication that you have something to say. I'll open up the line. If you have a question for our guest, you can ask your question. Area code 219. You're on there. Hello.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Who are we speaking to, and where are you calling from?
This is Diane from Griffith, Indiana.
Okay. What's your question for our guest?
My question is, if there isn't a man by the name of Jesus, one is, who are we praying to, and why are people speaking in tongues?
Okay.
Dr. Williams?
Yes. There's never been a man, like I mentioned before, that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. I wrote a book in 1993, and that book has been out for 23, going on 24 years, with the new year coming in 2017. It's been out for 24 years. That book is very popular, and it will explain to you the thesis of what I'm saying at this very moment I'm speaking to you. Now, when you go to church, it's like going to a slave plantation. The head of the slave plantation is this white man called Old Massa. Is that true? Every Christian church has a head of that church, and they say that this head of all Christian churches is Jesus the Christ. So Jesus the Christ is a European icon, a non-human, and matches the identity of this European slave master and slave owner of the plantation, Old Massa. All slave plantations had on the plantation an overseer. They called him Old Boss Charlie. Every church has an overseer. But the minister of that church, or Reverend C.T. Chickenwing, the slaves on the slave plantation were of African descent. The slaves in a Christian church that's in our community are Africans sitting in the pews of these churches. So every time you go to church, you're going back to the slave plantation. Now, what are you worshiping in that church? You're worshiping a dead white man on the cross who does not look like you, does not look like us Africans. Okay? So therefore, you are practicing white supremacy. The icon and the image and the symbol of white supremacy is institutionalized in all Christian churches throughout America and throughout the world. Why? Because of that dead white image on that cross that symbolizes white supremacy. So we as an African people, going to these churches, worshiping this dead white man on the cross, you're worshiping the white race. You're telling this white image on the cross that he is your Savior and your God. And if you look at your Savior and your God on that cross, this white man, it's the same as your enslaver and oppressor on the slave plantations throughout America that we experienced, our ancestors experienced during their occupancy in this country. You see? So now, the question that I ask you, if you're a Christian, do you think, Christians, that the white race will take their family and their children into a church where a big black African Jesus is hanging on the cross, and teach their children and their family that this big black African Jesus is their God and Savior, do you think they would do that? No, they wouldn't do that.
No.
Is that right?
No.
So why are we, as an African people, going into these churches, worshiping a dead white man on the cross, okay? Making ourselves look inferior, supporting white superiority, supporting white supremacy, supporting African and black inferiority. Why are you doing that? The next question I ask African Christians, what is the name of your African God that looks like you? I've never received an answer from any of them, you see? So what I'm doing and why I wrote the book, I wrote the book for one race of people, okay? And that's us Africans living in this hemisphere and throughout the world. To give you the information and to try to provoke thought as to what you're doing to yourself. You're going to these churches and you're praying to this God, this white God, to give you justice, jobs, and respect. Okay? Now you're praying to this white man, this dead white man on the cross to do that. That's your God. But now the same white man and the same God that you're praying to in these churches is allowing the white male to put us into slavery as a people. The same white God that you're praying to has allowed this white male to lynch us, like I mentioned before. Between 1880 and 1940, there was over 4,000 lynching of us Africans in this country. So you're praying to this white God, but this white God that you're praying to is allowing the white male to lynch us. You go into these churches and you pray to this white God, and this white God is allowing this white male to enact Jim Crow laws against us. You're going into these churches and praying to this white God, but this white God is allowing the white male to practice injustice against us. And I can go on and on and on. So with that being said, my sister, that is the answer I will give you. And I hope what I said to you will provoke you to think. And that's all I want you to do. I don't want any of your money. I don't want you following me. I don't want to be your leader. None of that. I don't want all of that. All I want to do is give you information. Tarhaka Amara El Bey is allowing me to come on his show, his radio blog talk show, to bring information to our African community in order to provoke thought, to make a change. You see, I cannot liberate you. You have to liberate yourself by information, because when you go to church, an individual go to church, they don't have to think. You don't have to think when you go to church. The parishioners that go to church, sit in those pews in the church, they bring in their belief. They don't have to think. They bring in their faith in the Bible. The Bible is a book that one has to believe in and have faith in. So therefore, you come in with your belief. You don't have to think, because you believe whatever is said coming from the preacher's mouth with this non-history, historical Bible is saying, coming from the mouth of this minister or this preacher. You see? So therefore, it makes you, when you sit into the pews of the church, you give away all of your power over to this dead white man on that cross that don't even look like you. So therefore, we're sitting up in the pews of the church a powerless people, because we gave all our power away. And see, belief is very, very dangerous, because belief incarcerates your mind. When an individual is incarcerated, that individual is given a jail cell. When you go to prison, then you are incarcerated. They give you a jail cell, which is a space maybe 6 by 9. That's where you do all your living, your thinking, and everything else within that space. You cannot go outside of that space, because you're limited. So when belief does the same thing to you. It limits your thinking. You cannot think. You see? So I'm trying to get you to provoke thought. I'm trying to get us back to our greatness, our ancestors, our African ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. We have to have a national identity to unify around. We don't have that now because we call ourselves blacks, Negroes, and African Americans. That black is a color. African American is an identity. That's not our history. That's the history that we created in this country. That's a history when you tell the peoples of the world that you are black, African, and African American, and a Negro, that your ancestors has been enslaved in the United States of America. That's all you're doing. You see, and they created back in September, they dedicated in the Smithsonian Institute a African American history and culture a museum. And they got a great big replica of a slave ship there. So it's telling you that our history as black people, if you want to use those names, I said don't use them. And Negro, see, black and Negro is synonymous, one and the same. There's no difference between, if you say you're black, you're saying it's your Negro. You say you're Negro, you're saying you're black. And then we were given an identity, African Americans. Okay? So those names only take you back to slavery. It's telling the world that your ancestors were enslaved in the United States of America. Our history did not start in America. Our history started in Africa, in a country that's known as Egypt. And from that culture issued civilization for all of humanity. If you saw the movie Selma, in the movie Selma, there's a scene there where Coretta Scott King, which is played by an actress, and Amelia Boynton Robinson, which is played by another actress. The actress is playing Amelia Boynton Robinson told the actress who was playing Coretta Scott King, we come from a great people, a people who brought civilization to the world. And the people that brought civilization to the world, those Africans, that's known in history as the ancient Egyptians. We have to get back to that. Our greatness is lying unclaimed in the continent of Africa, my sister. So that is some of the things I have to say to you as an answer to your question.
What about speaking in tongues? You didn't answer that one.
Okay, well, I'll take one step at a time. Speaking in tongues goes back to a religious dialogue, okay? Speaking in tongues, what does that give you? What kind of information does that give you? Speaking in tongues. That's confusion, okay? So you don't need to be confused. You're already confused. I'm not talking about you individually. I'm talking about people of the world, so they are already confused. So speaking in tongues doesn't help us get out of the dilemma that we're in this country. Speaking in tongues don't mean anything. You can take speaking in tongues and throw it in the garbage. It's worthless. It's confusion. We don't need that. We need information that's going to, historical information that's going to get us out of this dilemma. You have to liberate yourself if you want to be liberated out of this dilemma that we're in this country at this very moment that I'm speaking. But you have to know history to do that. You see? You can't go by belief. The system has taught us away from our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. The system is a school system that you and I went through in this country to be taught by the system that was created by Europeans using racism to do that, okay? When I went to school, and I was about 8 years old, they gave me a book in grammar school called Little Black Sambo. That's racism. That's white supremacy being practiced. That book, Little Black Sambo, was supposed to be our history, my history. And Little Black Sambo, if you don't know who Little Black Sambo, what the book was about, or the story was about, it's about an African boy taking a tiger by the tail and going around and around and around a tree, and both turned to butter. You see, they gave that book to the little white children at the same time to make them feel superior over us. That book was supposed to make me and us as an African people feel inferior. So speaking in tongues, what is that going to get us? Nothing. That's confusion. It goes back to religion again. See? It goes back to the biblical Cush and Nimrod and all that kind of stuff like that. The Tower of Babel. That's biblical. So don't fall for that, my sister. That's my answer to you.
So what you're saying is there's no such thing as speaking in tongues. Is that what you're saying? I'm just trying to get some clarity.
They have a concept of speaking in tongues, but it's worthless. You don't need that. What do you need? What is it going to do? You speak in tongues, so what? Now what does that give you? It give you any knowledge? No. Don't give you no knowledge because you speak in tongues. It gives you confusion because you don't know what the hell they're talking about. Because they're babbling.
Okay.
You get my point, my
sister? I appreciate that.
Do you get my point, though?
We appreciate you.
Yeah, I got your point, and I do understand what you're saying is that it sounds like another form of control. That's what it sounds like.
There you go. It's confusion. You don't need that in your life. You need history to understand what happened to our African, ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt. You need to know that. You need to know that. Okay? If you go back in your computer, and maybe Brother Tarhaka can help you find your way back to what I'm about to say. If you go back to a broadcast and a radio show that I was on, Tarhaka Amana El Bay's radio show, September the 19th, 2015. If you can go back there and listen to the first part of the historical origin of Christianity, I think that will give you a great help in what I'm talking about. I want you to grow, sweetheart. I want you, and I want us as a people to stop revolving in this stuff. I want you to evolve. You see that? When you evolve, you grow. When I was a boy, my mother told me, she says, Billy, if you be a good boy, Santa Claus is going to bring you some toys. I said, okay. And I believe my mother that there was a big old fat white man up in the sky with toys coming down the chimney on December 25th, giving me the toys. Now, I was a little boy. I didn't know any better. I believed my mother until one day, about a week before Christmas, I found all these toys in the closet. And I knew that there was no Santa Claus. I began to do what? Evolve out of that. That thought that there was a Santa Claus, because I was revolving in that, okay? Until I found those toys, then I began to grow. So today, at my age, I don't believe in no Santa Claus. Do you believe in Santa Claus, young lady? Okay.
No.
Why? At one time when you was a kid, did you believe in Santa Claus?
Yeah, as a kid I did, but then when
That's
I
what I'm
got
talking
older,
about. But one day, you grew out of that, didn't you? You found out the information that made you grow out of that there was no Santa Claus. Is that correct?
That's true. That's correct.
You began to grow. You began to evolve instead of just keep revolving the same stuff. You see? That's where I am. And I don't want any of your money, sweetheart. I don't want you to be your leader. I love you. I love my African people. I want them to do better. And if I have information to help you do better and provoke thought, that's what I want. You don't even have to buy my books. I'm not selling books to you. I have books written with the information in there to help you and to provoke thought and to liberate your own self out of this dilemma. That's what this radio broadcast is all about. That's the reason why Tarhaka Amana El Bay brings me on this show every month. Once a month I come on this show. You see? And because, why? Sister, I love you. And I want to give you information that will help you grow. You get me?
I got you.
Okay. So there you have it.
So is that why a lot of the black families are arguing all the time and not getting along, and they're always in a state of confusion with one another? Basically.
Well, that's part of it.
Okay.
See, there's a lot of components to that. Okay, the school system taught us a way, knowing our African true history. the churches, these religions, has splintered us to hit one religion against the other. See that? By us not knowing who our ancestors are, we have no foundation to build on. See, if you knew about Ma'at, when I said Ma'at Hotep, Ma'at is female and Hotep is male. So now, to give cosmic balance to humanity, you got to include both genders. See, I can't say just Hotep, that's male. I got to put the female in there because the female is Ma'at. So the two together, you have cosmic balance. So there's a lot of things that splintered our community. There's a definition in Webster's dictionary that I ran across looking for another definition for a word, and I ran across the color line. In Webster's dictionary in 1957, Webster's dictionary, it says the color line, it says a barrier of political, social, and economic restrictions imposed upon Negroes and other colored races. It says draw the color line and keep the color line. So, my sister, when you and I came in this world out of our mother's womb, we had 3 strikes against us. You see that? We have been dehumanized in this country. That's confusion there. In the 1950s and 60s, they put our women on public aid, welfare. But they said, we're going to give you welfare for every baby that you have. But we do not want that male to be found in your home. And they will send inspectors out to these various women's home who apply for public aid, looking for any evidence of a man being in her household or living there. Okay? So if they found any evidence of a man there, they take him off the road. So I can go on, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have the answer. You know why our race is all splintered up and confused. The system set out to do just that on purpose, to confuse us. So don't blame it on us as a people. You blame it on the system. Okay? But you and I have to know the difference of what's been happening to us and what has continued to happen to us and what have happened to us in order for us to teach out the next generation something better. Okay? So that's where I am with that, my sister.
Well, you've been a great help for information because there's just so much I'd like to ask you, but I know your time is limited. But
no, you got plenty of time. You go ahead and ask me whatever you want to ask me.
Okay.
Is that right?
Well, I'd like to know a little bit more about the power of attorney because my sister has a power of attorney over my mother, and it's gotten to the point where now she won't even let me come and see her because my mom stays with her. And I never could understand how is it that you can have a power of attorney and not allow your own sister to see her own mother.
Well, you have to ask Brother Tarhaka. That's his territory.
We're going to be dealing with that. We're going to have a broadcast Wednesday night when we'll be dealing with the law. But tonight
I like to understand that.
Religion and racism and slavery.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, I just wanted to just say thank you for, taking the time to really, listen to my question and taking the time to really answer it because I have good clarity on what you're saying, and I really appreciate that.
Will you have any other questions, my sister?
Not at this particular time, but I'm very grateful to be able to be able to ask that question. I appreciate it.
Okay, and we appreciate you, my sister. We love you.
Okay, thank you, and love you back.
Yeah, thank you so much. May I Hotep, my sister?
What's up, brother?
May I Hotep, my sister? Male is a female, and Hotep is a male. So don't exclude yourself out of Male Hotep, the greetings coming from the culture of the ancient Egyptians.
We got another caller with his hand in queue at area code 707. I'm going to open up the line. 707, do you have a question for our guest? Tell us who you are, where you're calling from, what's your question or comment for our guest. 707.
My name is Bonita. Yes,
hey,
my name is Bonita. Hi. May I hotep Dr. Williams?
May I hotep my sister Bonita?
I am so glad that you have came into my life. To tell you the truth.
Thank you. That's an honor. You make me feel...
It's a blessing, though.
Thank
I have been through a lot in life, and when I came across your Tarhaka's YouTube presentation with you, I had to go purchase your book, so I did purchase The Historical Origin of Christianity, and I read through it, but I have to continue to read through it daily, basically. My question is, in the book you talk about the ancient Coptic Egyptians and how they betrayed us. And I'm still searching for them. I haven't been able to find them other than in your book.
What name are you looking for? Because you haven't been able to find.
I'm just trying to vision the ancient Coptic Egyptians. I can't. I'm looking at Sylvester, his image, but I still can't find his name in other books other than yours.
Okay, well, no, his name is out there, but what I'm saying to you is this. I'll tell you like I told the other caller. Now, where are you calling from now?
Sacramento, California.
Oh, Sacramento, California. Okay, this is what I want to tell you, my dear, is this. If you can take your computer and go back and hear the broadcast that I've done with Brother Tarhaka, Amala El Bay, September the 19th, 2015. Can you do that, my sister?
Yes.
Go back and listen to that broadcast that I was on. I was giving part one of the historical origin of Christianity, and that will clear up lots of questions that you have that you're asking me. And just listen to that tape. Listen to that broadcast. And you can she can download it, can't she, Brother Tarhaka?
Yeah.
Brother Tarhaka?
She can download it. Either she can go to she can go to blogtalkradio.com/Tarhaka.
Okay.
And go all the way back down, and you can just look up in the right corner there. You'll see three little icons, and one of them is a download button, and you can download that podcast.
Okay. Okay. Let me write this down right quick. Hold on, please.
Sure.
Remember me.
Yeah. You can just go to YouTube and copy and paste the link into a converter, and you can convert it down and put it on a disc. If you want to listen to it right there on the computer, you can do that. Anything you want to do with it, you can do it.
I didn't know we can put it on a disc. Wow, that's great.
You can. Yeah, you need a little. They got free conversion software. You just type it in there and click MP3, and it converted. You pull it out of file and take your download software and just burn it to a disc.
Right.
Yeah, you can do that. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. But Dr. Williams, you want to give us the rundown on the alphabet J?
Well, let me finish up with her, Brother Tarhaka. She's not through.
Okay.
You there, sister?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. So now, do you understand what Tarhaka was telling you to do to get that broadcast? And you can listen to it or download it, and you can make a disc of it. And once you make a disc of it, you have a car with a CD player in it. You can plug it in, and you can listen to it as you ride. Okay? Because I'm giving you what happened to our African ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt, which is the historical origin of Christianity. I give it to you blow by blow, all the way up to the creation of the world's first Christian church, the Hagia Sophia. and I take you through the ecumenical council meetings and so forth and so on. And you have to have, when you listen to this tape, with that date, September 9, 1915. That's the date, 9/19/15, September the 19th, 2015. Have your pencil and paper ready for you to write and draw some things, and this tape will reveal to you answers that questions and answers that you are asking me right now. Okay?
Okay.
So that would be my answer to your question without going through a whole lot of dissertation, and you still don't have the information, because this way you can record the information and retain the information, play the information. Like when you bought my books, Historical Origin of Christianity, you got the book, you can read the book at any time you want to pick it up. Now, let me tell you this. The continuation of Christianity is in my second book called The Historical Origin of Islam. Okay?
Okay.
And that continuation of Christianity is in my Historical Origin of Islam book until Islam comes into being historically. So there's a lot of other information that you need to know. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to sell books. I do not make a living off of selling books. But since you are in the mindset, to want to understand history, that you want to understand Christianity and these other various religions, get that Historical Origin of Islam book to go along with what you have, the Historical Origin of Christianity. Okay?
Sounds right. Yes.
Okay. There's any other questions, my sister?
Well, I thought that I would just probably elaborate upon how I came into my consciousness and how I had the spell unbroken on me. I was a devout Christian at one time. Faithfully.
Okay.
To the point where, I probably was so confused and I really didn't know what I was doing. I ended up being in a church where our congregation was mainly white people. And I think I learned a lot from it, but from the previous caller, when she spoke about the Holy Ghost, or speaking in tongues is what they called it, I seen a whole lot of that, and I was like, you know what, this doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
So that was right back. It makes sense. Then my son says, "Ooh, what is that? I want to learn that." And I looked at him. I said, "No, you don't, because it doesn't make sense.
Right.
No one should have to be up there, saying blah blah blah, and making it seem like it's some words. It's not any words." And I finally got myself broken from there. Yeah, it was all confusing, and it is true. It's true that they won't worship a black Jesus. Their problem is, what my experience is that they look to us for the information regarding Jesus. The white people do. Yeah, they look for us for the information. They don't have the information. I attended
my
their
book, Historical Origin of Christianity, will give you some of the tenets, the main tenets of how the religion that we know today as Christianity came about, and how that image that we know today as Jesus Christ, the icon, that non-human icon called Jesus Christ, came about. So my book walks you through that history. Now, this tape that you're going to go and download from last year broadcast on Tarhaka Mount El Bay's show, is going to give you further information and understanding to the question that you have, okay? And you did the right thing. You began to sit up in the church and say, what the hell am I doing in here? Why am I in here worshiping a dead white man on the cross? That don't even look like me. That's what you said to yourself.
I sure did.
And you got the hell out of there.
Gone.
That's right. So you came out in search of the truth.
And that's all I had been asking from.
That's right.
That's all I've been asking for.
Right. And I commend you for that, my sister. Seeking the truth. See? And that, like I said before, I don't want anything from my people. I don't want to be your leader, Because if I allow any human to follow Walter Williams, I will be dehumanizing you as a human being. Because no human on earth was born to follow another man. Okay? You can listen.
That's true. It's too many people. It's what, 7.5 billion people now?
There's 7 billion walking this earth as human beings. 7 billion people. No human was born to follow another human. Now you can learn from each other. Yeah. That's what we're here for. Okay? But I don't want you following me. I would never allow you to do that. And I don't want your money. I don't want your money. I don't make a living talking on blog talk radio shows or be on television and other shows like this. I don't, So, no. I'm here. I'm doing this because I love you. I love my African people. I love my African community. That's the reason why I want to see us come out of this dilemma that we're in, this confusion that we're in. That's all. And I think that's very simple. You see? So, any other questions, my sister, that you want to ask? You got the time to do it.
Well, last question probably. I just wanted to know how you are. I want to know how you are. I mean, how you are. Yes.
I'm fine.
How are you? Yeah, okay, that's all.
I'm just as
and
fine.
And that's love.
See, I'm not on medication. I'm 85 years old.
Wow.
I'm not on medication.
That's awesome.
That's right. I have an awesome wife that takes care of me. She really takes care of me.
That's even better.
That's even better. You can't beat that. To have a woman's love makes you a trillionaire, in my opinion.
You got paid in full already, right?
Hey, you got that right. So therefore, I am strong, and my body's not medicated with pharmaceutical medicines. I eat good, and I take the right supplements, and I exercise, and I keep my mind strong, and I keep my mind going where it will continue to be strong, and I study, and I think, and I help other people, and I help my people in the African community. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm
and
fine.
You're doing an excellent job as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you so much.
Even though I'm just coming into light, and there's certain people that help me awaken that bulb in the back of my head that has been so closed, and you're one of them. You're very special to me.
Thank you so much, my sister. I appreciate it. And listen, you're special to me. I love you.
Thank you. I love you, too.
Thank you, my dear. Appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you again, my sister.
Right.
And Mayat Hotep. Anytime on here, if you want to call and ask me anything, call me and ask me. And I will tell you, before the show, you're going to listen to the show all the way through. Is that right?
I sure am. My first time
tell you how to
do the live.
What was that again?
My first time doing live.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to give you my email address. Okay. And if you want to email me, you can email me at ancientegyptian@msn.com. Ancient, ANCIENT, Egyptian, EGYPTIAN @msn.com. If you email me, put your phone number there. If you want to talk to me, I'll call you back and we can converse further. Okay?
Okay. So, sounds great.
So that's what I have to say, my sister. And I want to say to you, Mayat Hotep.
Mayat Hotep.
Right.
All right.
Thank
sister,
you.
We appreciate you calling in.
And thank you.
I don't have any other callers in the queue. If you have a question or comment for Dr. Williams, 310-982-4184. Just press 1 on your phone. that'll give me an indication that you have something to say, and I'll open up the phone line so you can get in, okay? We still got 55 minutes, got quite a ways to go, so we got plenty of time to hear from you. Don't hesitate to press 1 on your phone so we can get you in here and you can speak to Dr. Walter Williams this evening. Now, Dr. Williams, we had, for the other sister that was asking you about the speaking in tongues, could you give us a rundown on that alphabet J? That's a part in your book that your wife wrote in that chapter in there. You want to give us a breakdown on that? Because that, to me, that solves it all, because of the impossibility of it ever having to be a J until the 16th, latter half of the 16th century. And all the scholars say that Jesus supposed to live in the first. So how we do the math on that? It ain't matching. But you want to give us a rundown on that?
Yeah, well, like you mentioned, in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, my wife, Annetta Williams, her name was then, she did that chapter before I married her. Her name was in the book Annetta May. But anyway, she's my wife now, and she wrote a chapter 9 in The Historical Origin of Christianity. Her chapter is entitled The Historical Origin of the Letter J. The letter J did not come into existence until 1630, when they took the letter I and brought that letter I below the line and put a curl on it. Because when I went to school in Chicago, I was born and raised here, that's the type of J we made. We made a J with a curl on at the end and with a dot at the top of it. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that J, the letter J, was added to the English alphabet in 1630 by taking the letter I, bringing it below the line, and putting a curl on it. Okay? Now, prior to that, to replace that I, you have the I was. To replace that J, the I was used. Okay, and in my book, read that chapter, and that chapter 9 in the Historical Origin of Christianity book will explain to you, the reader, everything that you want to know about the historical origin of the letter J. And that chapter can explain to the reader better than I can explain it, because they can go over in detail the little tidbits of historical information that you need to really get a good understanding of how the letter J was created. The letter J, like I mentioned, was created in 1630 by and added to the English alphabet by taking the letter I, bringing it below the line, and putting a curl on it. That's your J, 1630. So that's what I have to say about the letter I, and the letter J. And like I said, Brother Tarhaka, one can read it in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, chapter 9, written by my wife, Annetta. Her name was May at the time before I married her, and she can explain in that chapter all the historical information about that letter I. What they was using before the I came into existence, where they got the letter I from, how they used the Z and this and that. It's all in her chapter. So I suggest for the answer, where you can really get a thorough understanding, read that chapter 9 in the Historical Origin of Christianity. That's my answer, Brother Tarhaka.
All right. Okay. Well, that takes care of the Jesus, the Jude, the John, James, Joseph, Jeremiah, Job. That take care of all of them.
Correct.
They all lived prior to the 16th century. There was no alphabet J. So how could they exist? And, of course, they all came from biblical literature. And biblical literature, all religions have a religion attached to it. Is that correct?
Well, all religions have literature attached to it.
Literature attached to it.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, so
what else they have?
Well, they have non-humans. They have characters. In all biblical literature, you got 99 9/10 of every biblical literature. 99 9/10 of all names named in the Bible are characters. They are characters. They are not humans. They are non-humans. They only exist in the Bible. They were created for the Bible. That's their home, the Bible. Okay? The Bible is a book that one has to believe in. The Bible is not a history book. There's a documentary out called In Search of God with Morgan Freeman being the main character in that documentary. And he was out going around the world searching and looking for God. He came into the illegal state of Israel, and he was invited into a female rabbi's home. And while in this home, it was being filmed and documented that this rabbi told Morgan Freeman, she said that the Bible is not a history book, but a book of ideas. Again, I repeat what the rabbi told Morgan Freeman. She said that the Bible is not a history book, but a book of ideas. So do not take the Bible as a history book. Do not take the Bible literal. You can't do that. It's a book of fiction. It's a book of mythology. It's a book of metaphors. You see? So you have to really understand what is being given to you, or the peoples of this world have to understand what is being given to them to believe in. The Bible, like I mentioned before, is a book that one has to believe in. All religions are based off of one's belief. That's the glue that keeps all religions together, one's belief. If you don't believe it, then the book has no worth to you. The book has no worth because it has no human history in it. It's got created fictitious characters in it by way of narrative stories. Those narrative stories that's written in the Bible is for you, the reader of the Bible, to believe in. Once you believe in those stories that's written in the Bible, then those stories become alive in your thinking and in your life. Who made them come alive? You did with your own human spirituality by way of belief. Very simple. You see? So that's what I have to say about that, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Well, I'd like to remind the listening audience that Dr. Frances Cress Welsing wrote a book called The ISIS Papers. And in the book, The ISIS Papers, she lists the 9 points of the global system of what we know of today is the white supremacy that hinges on 9 points. The 9 points are economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. These are the 9 points of the global system of white supremacy. And when we are actively involved in embracing these, you take one of the most dangerous ones of all, that's just equal in danger to me, is the educational system. We are under the impression that we can go to a European-funded educational system inside the United States and get a correct education. You cannot get a correct education because the first thing you are supposed to be taught in depth is who you are, your identity and your ancient story. That's when you start out with that, now you're officially ready to deal with the reading, writing, and arithmetic. But that's the first thing you got to be taught. If you, in my opinion, if I was in a class and there was a little Chinaman there and a little Mexican there and a little Korean there and a little Japanese there, and each one of us would have to be dealt with separately, education-wise. And then we could come together and all of us can be taught but it always have to be, especially when it comes to our ancient story, it has to be done from the original place, the original spot, the original teachings, and that's in Africa and other parts of the world. But what I want to ask you, do we have the Roman Catholic Church inside of Australia, and what was going on there?
Well, now I'm assuming now that the Roman Catholic Church is in Australia because of the African Aborigines there, and the Roman Catholic Church is one of the symbols of white supremacy. So they're going to take their church wherever they go and to use that church to house institutional racism, institutional white supremacy by displaying that dead white man on the cross. They call Jesus the Christ. So I would say yes. Now I haven't. Now, like I said, I'm assuming that they do have a Roman Catholic Church in Australia because of the white occupation, the European occupation of Australia. Okay? So I would say yes, they have a Roman Catholic Church that is a symbol that they take all over the world and they colonize non-European people with that image of that dead white man on the cross. And they institutionalize that dead white man on the cross by creating churches to house the symbol and the icon and the idea and the image of that white European dead white man on the cross. Like I mentioned, white supremacy is institutionalized in all Christian churches throughout America and all over the world. So Australia is one of them, of the countries that has this institution in their country. Yes.
Now, the Europeans that came there, how did they get there? How did they go to Australia? What happened?
They're looking for land outside of Europe. And once they find this land, by any means necessary, they come in by force and terrorize the people found there living as indigenous people in these various lands. They terrorize them and take it over and colonize them. Once they take over and colonize, then they bring in the symbol of white supremacy, which is institutionalized in churches. Okay, so they bring in this image and build a church to house the symbol of white supremacy by introducing to these terrorized people that they haven't terrorized an image of themselves to be worshipped by the indigenous people there. You bow down to me. I'm your God. See? And that's what they push on the people. And this is what they pushed on us. They terrorize. You got to remember this, Brother Tarhaka. The European has terrorized this whole entire planet that we call Earth, and all the races of people and the people occupying this land or this Earth or this planet that we call Earth, including themselves. The European has terrorized his own self and his own people, as well as all the other peoples of the world. You see that? Now, I want you to also understand this. Europe has never, ever been invaded or terrorized by any other race of people living on planet Earth. other than the European himself terrorizing his own self and his own people. But no other race of people, nowhere, no Chinese, no Indians, no Africans, no Mexicans, nobody has ever went into Europe and terrorized the European. Never. You can't find nobody of any race, creed, or color in history that ever terrorized Europe. It's not there. See? So this is something that one has to really understand.
No, so why do you think that is though?
Because his intent. If I come to your house tomorrow morning with the intent of robbing you, I'm going to rob you because I come there with that intent. You don't have no intentions of robbing nobody, do you?
No.
But if I have an intent to rob you and other people, I can do that. I'll just get me a big gun. Okay? Come in and knock your door down and point that gun at you, and I can rob you because I came there with that intent. So when Australia was taken, they came in there with the intent to take it. When they found this hemisphere over here, the Americas and North America, they came with the intent to take it back from the people whom they found here, the Native American Indian and this African. They came there and put a gun in his face and said, stick him up. Give me your country. Okay? And they brutalized people to the extent that they were terrified with the brutalization of these Europeans being enacted upon the indigenous natives of wherever country that they come into. They come in there with the intent. That's what caused it. You see? Our ancestors never terrorized or brutalized anybody. They were civilizers, not terrorizers. When our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, went around the world meeting other races of people, they found those people and they enhanced their primitive culture by introducing to them a higher form of culture, their culture. But they never took from those people. They never changed their language, their spoken language. They never raped their women. They never took advantage of the people there. They never robbed and raped their land, taking all the substance out of the land. They didn't do that. The European, that's his trait. The European people have to realize, Brother Tarhaka, built themselves a foundation by which they go by and which they are guided by. They have built themselves an institution of lies, deceit, murder, injustice, corruption, greed, terrorism, militarism, sexism, racism, slavery, exploitation, drugs, white supremacy, violence, rape, hate, and religion, mythology, and perverted scholarship. That's the foundation of the European. That's his That's his institution. You see, he doesn't know that he don't have to do this. Our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, tried for 2,348 years, with the next year coming in, there's 2,349 years to try to civilize this European. He refused to understand civilization. How to be civil among other races of people. He has a psychopathic ideology. A psychopath is supposed to be separated from the masses of people. He's supposed to be institutionalized and medicated. See? So our ancestors, starting with the Greeks, coming into Egypt in 332 BCE, and from that day, coming forward to the year 2016, it was 2,348 years. Next year, coming in, 2,349 years. The European did not develop in Europe. He had nothing to develop with. He had no alphabet. He was illiterate. I'm not criticizing the European. I'm just telling you the facts about the European. His development started in Africa among the ancient Egyptians, our ancestors. That's where he started to develop. He emulated and imitated our ancestors. We taught him. Okay? He didn't teach us until he flipped the tables on us. And this is what I'm out here on your show talking about, to get our people in the African community to wake up, to provoke thought. And you can only liberate yourself if you have the knowledge to do that. But you're going to have to stop certain things to enhance your liberation. You're going to have to stop going to church. And inside of these churches, get out of them. You have to divest yourself from all religions. Christianity, Islam alaikum, Islam. I'm a black Hebrew Israelite. You have to get rid of all that. I'm a Jew. I'm a Buddhist. Any type of man-made religion, you're going to have to get back to understanding what you had when you came out of your mother's womb. When every human came out of their mother's womb, they were attached to her umbilical cord. The umbilical cord was cut by the doctors to separate the baby from its mother. The umbilical cord that you were attached to served as a conduit to bring food, air, and water for your development for the 9 months of incubation inside of your mother's body. Now, when you came out, you were alive, a human, separated from your mother by the doctor cutting your umbilical cord to do just that. But you were given life that is continuing to grow, to flow in your veins at this very moment, into your humanity at this very moment, into your body at this very moment. That life is called your indwelling, divine, spiritual birthright. This is what you have. But you were not ever given a religion. Man created a religion for you. All religions are man-made. They are something that's superficial, created by man to control your thinking, to control your emotions. Carter G. Woodson said it best in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro, written in 1933. To control, if you want to control a man's thinking and actions, if he's been trained to go to the back of a building to find a door, if you go there and he finds no door, he will make one. So therefore, he said, if you can control a man's thinking, in other words, you don't have to worry about his actions, as long as you can control his thinking. And if he's been taught to go to the back door, upon arriving at the back, he finds no door, he'll make one. Okay? So one has to realize that no human on earth was born with a religion. Go to your birth certificate and see if you have Christian written on your birth certificate. See if you have Islam written on your birth certificate. See if you have some kind of black Hebrew Israelite on your birth certificate. See if you have some kind of Jew or Buddhist or Zoroastrianism written on your birth certificate. No, you won't find that. Religion steals and takes away from you, the human being. It steals your humanity. Steals all that away from you. This is the reason why I'm out here today on your show, Tarhaka Black Blog Talk Radio Show, talking to our African people, trying to provoke thought in their thinking. Okay? I don't want anything from you, like I said before. All I want you to do is to give you the information. If you can use it to provoke thought so you can evolve and grow. That's what this is all about. So that's some of my answers to you, Brother Tarhaka.
All right, Dr. Williams. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you can press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication you got something to say. If you're ready to speak with Dr. Walter Williams, 310-982-4184. That's 310-982-4184. Press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication you got something to say. Open up the phone line so we can get in. We're going on down the thing here. I have a few more questions. Dr. Williams, I'm going to take another little quick break, and when we come back, we'll be ready to go.
Okay.
All right. Y'all hold on for just a second. We'll be right back. right, we back. Dr. Williams, now
yes.
you mentioned earlier in the broadcast our attempt to civilize the European. In your opinion, how close since that time until this day have we come to actually civilizing man? Is it possible doing is it possible for them to be civilized?
Yeah, there's a possibility. Yes, now all white people, all Europeans are not bad people. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the ones in power. They're the ones. And then you have a lot of people, even today, as I speak, you have this Donald Trump out there. He's uncivilized. He doesn't understand how to be civilized. He has all these followers out there who follow him, who are staunch white supremacists. They are uncivilized. You got sympathizers. Anybody that sympathize with the racists and empathize with them are uncivilized. how can I want another human being not to be happy? I want you to be happy. I want you to have things to take care of your family. I want, when you work on a job, I want you to make enough money so you can raise your family and be comfortable. I want you to meet your bills. I want you to be able to take vacations. I want you to have a beautiful home and furniture and a car, or whatever else you want. Nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. But these people go out here and say, "Oh, I don't want the minimum. Increase the minimum wage. Don't want that. They want them to work like slaves and beg and scrimp and be unhappy and be frustrated and have all this stress on them. That's not necessary. All this, the whole world, this whole planet that we call Earth, has enough substance on this planet that we call Earth to take care of every human walking this earth. Okay? Our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, were civilized people. They had a near perfect civilized existence and society and culture. No human being in that culture went to a nursing home. No human being raised in the culture of ancient Egyptians were on public aid. All of the citizens of ancient Egypt was taken care of by the government, because the government loved the people and the people loved the government and the people who were running it. They were not rulers, they were governors. Okay? So they had an underlining creed called the Maathian Creed that the ancient Egyptians, our African ancestors, lived by. And that Maathian underlining principle creed goes like this: truth, justice, peace, love, and wisdom. They practice that: truth, justice, peace, love, and wisdom. There was no one man bigger than the next over in ancient Egypt. Everybody was treated equal, no matter what station in life that you held. You were no greater than the farmer, because you are a physician. Okay, because you worked in the government, and you were equal with the farmer who grew crops to feed ancient Egyptians in their culture. See? So it goes very deep, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Well, because what do you foresee in the next few years if Mr. Trump is elected to president? How do you see this country?
I see this country in chaos. I see this country in confusion. So yeah, he's gonna bring it into chaos because he doesn't understand it. He's ignorant. He's selfish. He's greedy. He's everything that I just described in the foundation of his institutions. Lies. He tells lies, deceit, murder, injustice, corruption, greed, terrorism, militarism, sexism, racism, slavery, exploitation, drugs, white supremacy, violence, plunder, rape, hate, religion, mythology, and perverted scholarship. That's his foundation. Mm-hmm. And Trump fits in all those categories. He doesn't understand that. He go around and he cheat people, he lie. word that come out of his mouth is a lie. He lied when he opened his mouth, and he lied before he closes his mouth. He will deceive you. Okay? Put stuff out there and project lies out there, and the news media pick it up, and people believe those lies. Like that man they put out the lie about Hillary Clinton and her running mate had a prostitution slave prostitution ring in this pizza parlor. This man went there with a rifle and started shooting in the floor because he thought they were down in the basement because of the lie that was out there. You see? And this Donald Trump, he'll go out there and he'll order all the building of a hotel. Okay? And near the end of that completion of the hotel, he'll start paying the contractors, the painters and decorators, contractors, the people who was going to put in some tile contractors. He won't pay them. Okay? He created a Trump institution based off of lies. He had to settle a case for $25 million. He's just a liar. He's a deceiver. No earthly good, all for himself. Okay? To the point where he could not get along in the United States of America for 20 years. They will not loan him not one dime from a bank. He could not get one dime from a bank loan in America. He had to go outside of this country to find money, people to loan him money to do what he wants to do, because he run out in this country. So I can go on and on about this Donald Trump.
Okay. So you think they stole the election?
Of course. It was stolen. It was rigged, like he said. He projected. See, you got to remember, Donald Trump is a projector. They project onto you what they are. You see? He project onto America what was going to happen to America. Said the election is rigged, okay, if he doesn't win. So he's telling you that they're rigging the election. So he's no earthly good. And I'm afraid I told the brothers and sisters to go and vote for Hillary Clinton. And a lot of them didn't do it because they come up with some silly, stupid idea. I told them, I said, brothers and sisters, vote for Hillary Clinton because we do not want a Republican in there to put on the Supreme Court the replacement of Anton Scalia, who died. We wanted a Democrat to put the replacement on the white supremacy court, known as the Supreme Court, so they can stop further damaging us as a people. Our ancestors fought for the privilege of voting in this country. Medgar Evers lost his life registering us Africans in Mississippi to vote. And when he came home one night, getting out of his car in the driveway, his wife and children were watching him come in, and they also watched him being murdered by these white, uncivilized dogs. They killed him. They murdered him. Why? Because he was out there gathering signatures for our people to vote. Okay? So, brothers and sisters didn't understand what I was trying to tell them. Do not allow a Republican in there to put on the white supremacy court or the Supreme Court another Republican, because he's going to further damage us and take away the things that our ancestors, Dr. King, Fannie Lou Hamer, and others who fought for us to have some type of rights in this country. We owe it to them to have voted. That's what I was trying to tell them. But no, they had some more funny ideas about this and about that. Fine, they didn't vote. So when they didn't vote, they voted. Their no vote helped Donald Trump. So that's what happened during this past election, and that's what some of the things I think about this Donald Trump. So it's going to get worse.
Down to the last few minutes, Dr. Williams, you want to give us your closing statements?
Well, I enjoyed my time on air with you this evening, like I always do.
Me too.
And I'll tell the listening audience I'm invited on your show, Tarhaka El Bay show, once a month. Usually it's the last Sunday of every month. But because of the holidays coming in, the last Sunday in this month is actually the 1st of January. So, then we're caught up in these holiday celebrations. So that's the reason why we're on this evening on radio instead of the last Sunday. So I'm glad that you invited me, and I appreciate being on your show as always. I get a lot of emails as a result of being on your show, and your show is providing with me on there and with you on there and with other guests that you have on there, talking about various topics that we talk about on your show, is giving and passing on to our African community, people in the African community who listen to your show, lots of information. You, Tarhaka El Bay, have a lot of information to help our African community about through your debt elimination program. You can show them how to get out of debt, which is great. You can show them how the law it should be administered, and you can tell them their rights, and you can give them lots of information through your knowledge and through your life experience and this talk radio show if they listen to it. So I thank you for that, my brother. Love you for that. And I want to say again to our African listening audience, if you want to converse with me, you email me at ancientegyptian@msn.com. Ancient, ANCIENT, Egyptian, EGYPTIAN @msn.com. Send me an email, put your phone number there. I'll get back to you via the phone, and we can further converse by way of conversation. So
we got another caller with their hand raised.
Okay.
Let me open up this line for you. Go. Area code 314. 314. You have. Could you tell us who you are and where you're calling from, and what's your question or comment for our guest?
This Bianchi calling from the St. Louis area.
How you doing?
I hear you guys talking about my president-elect. I supported him from the beginning. Voted early and often that day.
Okay, Bianchi, I'm going to send my boys to say, I know where you are in St. Louis. Okay. You see a big black limousine pull up in front of your house.
I put them in the pile with the receipt. Difference between St. Louis and Chicago, we got open carry without no license. In Chicago, if you got a gun at home, you got to have it disassembled. That's them liberals for you, Walter.
Well, that's okay, but once my boys get outside of the perimeter of Chicago, they go into the truck and get their ammunition out. They're going to head to St. Louis, and they know you. I know your address, so I'm going to give them your address. And Brother Bianchi, take care of it.
Other than that, how you been doing, man?
I'm doing great, Brother Bianchi. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. I just don't like the cold, but it's colder up there than it is here.
Well, what can you do about it? Nothing. Put on some more clothes.
I'm moving down
going back down to Baton Rouge.
Last time I was on, I missed you because my phone got messed up some kind of way. And when that phone got back into use, they said Brother Pianke was on. And I said, oh, yeah, I know Brother Pianke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, everything's all right. But you take care of yourself now.
Okay, Brother Pianke, and I certainly appreciate you listening and calling as always.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
Pianke. Take care, man. Okay, Dr. Walter Williams, I'm bringing it down to a close. And I certainly appreciate you being on here with us tonight. And we'll be coming back again at a future date. And,
right, we're going to come back in
some more
last Sunday of January.
Okay. You got a date.
Okay.
I'm going to mark it on my books.
Okay.
We'll look to have you in here with us.
Okay, Brother Tarhaka, like again, I appreciate being on your show. I appreciate you inviting me on your show. And usually, as always, I have a ball. Thank you so much for providing information to come from your Blog Talk Radio show into the African community. Thank you so much, and thank you again for inviting me.
You're welcome. Mayad Hotep, my brother.
Mayad Hotep to you, my brother.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Our special guest, Dr. Walter Williams, has been with us. And I've been your host, Tarhaka Amana L. Bay. And until next time, y'all have a good evening, okay?
I've been missing you for so many days. I keep wanting you, Lord, in so many ways. I can't get you off of my mind. But true love is so hard to find. I want it another day. Ooh, I need it another day. Darling, let me have another day. And I can be anything that you want me to be. The sweet things you used to do to me. Kind words, Lord, used to say. I can't forget those lovely days. But this is the price I'm about to pay. Ooh, I want another day, Lord. You can let me have just one more day. Ooh, I need one more day, Lord. And I will do anything that you want me to do now. I will do anything that you want me to do now. Say anything that you want me to say. Yeah. Buy you anything you want me to buy. And I can cherish you till the day I die. If you let me have another day. Please let me have one more day. Just one more day, Lord, and it could be everything that you want me to be. Just one more day now. You can let me have just another day now. I want this day and the day after, and the day after, and I want all the days. I want all the days. I want you here. I want you here by my side, and I don't want you to leave me. And I can love you, Lord, for the rest of my life. I'm trying, oh man, Lord, let me have this other day, oh man, just another day, I want all the days. about a 2:45. I'm sitting here talking with my baby over cigarettes and coffee, and to tell you that, dog, I've been so satisfied, honey, since I've met you. Baby, since I met you, baby, that I've been around, and all the good-looking girls I've met, they just don't seem to fit in. No, in this particular sense, yeah. But it seems so natural, dog, that you and I are here, just talking over cigarettes and drinking coffee. You know, my heart found out love that lasts that bad. Honey, won't you let me just feel my whole life around? And whoa, I complete my whole life would be, yeah, if you would take things under consideration and walk down this aisle with me. I would love it, yeah. Well, I say it so early in the morning. Ooh, it's 2:45. We're sitting here talking over cigarettes and drinking coffee, that Lord. And I'd like to show you where I know nothing but good old joy. I met you, darling, honey, it's time I met you, baby, yeah. I would love to have another drink of coffee now. And please, darling, help me smoke just one more cigarette now. Don't want no cream and sugar, 'cause I got you there, dog. But just let me enjoy, help me to enjoy this good time that we're having. It's so early in the morning, so early in the morning, and I got you. Of the men, they're working on the That's the sound of the men, they're working on that chain. That's the sound of the men, and they're working on the chain. All day long you hear them. I'm going home, just one of these old days. Man, I'm going home to see my woman. My love so dear, but that means why I got to wait right here. It's just the sound of the men, they're just working on the